All righty, right. Good morning, good morning. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. Hopefully everyone's feeling good. This morning's a little complicated, I guess. This is kind of the open that everyone thought would have happened yesterday, but it's happening today, so the market's kind of cute. It is what it is. So if you happen to have had a little bit of a false sense of security because felt as if you could be long with the peak of the Iran-Israel scenario behind us, today's a little bit of a shakeup, but things aren't down that much. Could create some good opportunities to buy some red to green, see if we absorb the morning weakness, kind of like what we did the first attempt on Friday when the volatility hit. It gave you a way to buy some things, trade around it. So, cooler heads could prevail. At this point, if you take a look at the SPYs right here, the sequence has been pretty steady, right? To the upside, lot to do, lots of ways to navigate it, starting from the low, the higher low. It did get a little faulty. So if you want to take a quick look up here, kind of went back to 603.47. We're now looking below yesterday's low of 623. And then this is Friday's low of 595.50. So this is pretty important. We're right now in a little bit of no man's land, right? Why are we in no man's land? Well, we're down 350. Okay, so what does that mean? It just means that we're below yesterday's low of 623. We're above 595.50, but could do whatever it wants. So you don't want to, just start buying things to go red to green. You got to look for signals and see what's happening. So that's the SPYs. The Qs look really good also. You have this big, some people think that this is turning into an inverted head and shoulders pattern where this is your left shoulder, huge head, and we'll see how long it takes for the right shoulder to build. Some people think this is a cup. We're about to build a big handle for takeoff, but obviously there's some things you got to get through. And one of them is, the culmination of what's going on in the Mideast. I think that the word is on the geopolitical side, they kind of knew that the U.S. was going to get in. The U.S. has to do some kind of really big, what's called bunker buster, to get rid of the rest of their, their uranium and nuclear capabilities. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. And then we can move on. But anyway, what do you have? Yesterday's low for the Qs is 530.45, or a little bit below that. So you want to see, does it reclaim that? And if it does, great. If not, 525.50. So little, they always want to make it interesting. Some people like Red Dog, you see silver. Silver's up a lot. I have to hold it in there. It's above 33.54. So silver's been acting very well. So silver and gold are up a bunch. But anyway, what am I going to look at to see what can go red to green? Yesterday Amazon was strong. Look at this nice pattern in Amazon. Amazon looks like, hanging in there, wedging above the 8-day. So maybe today, if you didn't have a lot of Amazon because Amazon, was off on Friday-ish. So maybe today's your day to buy a little bit of Amazon versus this low here. Then it can get tighter. And then once we get a little bit more clarity on what's happening geopolitically, this could actually continue. I think Meta had a really nice day yesterday. It also has a nice pattern. They're going to be trying to put some ads around Instagram and WhatsApp, and got upgraded today. It's only down 4. I would say if Meta could hold above yesterday's low and continue at some point, Meta is going to be good. So I think, maybe there's a decent little dip to buy in Meta and Amazon. I'm not in Tesla. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a report, out there. Listen, EV sales aren't great. So EV sales aren't making a Tesla go up, but there was a report that Elon doesn't have any drugs in his system. So a lot of people talking about how, he was taking ketamine and he was doing all these things and he was out of his mind. Well, there is a report you could look at that somebody sent me that he's not doing that. So I would think there's a really, little bit of a chance. I'm going to look at it. He had an inside day. It showed a little relative strength. It absorbed a downgrade. It was downgraded yesterday and kind of hung out there. Sometimes Tesla loves to go green in a sea of red. So, you have a little level here, 335.50. So what's Tesla doing pre-market? Let's see. Tesla is, I think, down 3. It's down 3. Look at that. So I will watch it. Maybe there's a chance that it holds this 326-ish and then goes green, or not. But that's something that could work today that might be able to make you some money. So I will look at it. But, you can't have the SPYs down 5 or 6. Otherwise, nothing's really going to work. So hopefully this holds in there and we see how it goes. A lot of banter out there, but we'll see. So, that'll be something I will try and take a look at for cash flow. Nvidia, a little bit annoying, but it's fine, I guess. When I woke up this morning to do the 20 at 520, I looked at Nvidia was up 30 cents. Now it's down 30 cents. I think Barclays upgraded it to a buy with a $200 price target, but it's still kind of just lethargic. It did get to 146, and I was long it, and I bought it through 145, and I sold it up to 146. I bought some back. I'm hoping it could hold in there. What's Nvidia doing right now? Nvidia in a sea of red. It's down 65 cents. The more futures feel like they're just going to be programmed sell, the harder it is for some things to hang in there. So we'll see. On the little guy front, I am long this UMAC. Acted very well yesterday, closed through this area. So we'll see if some of these drone stocks can continue. ICHR had a money raise, not ICHR. ACHR had a money raise. So I'm not ready to buy that yet, but I did buy some options, in case it wants to go sideways and rebuild and then go again. But we'll see. Let's see what some of my dogs are saying around the world. You could talk to me on YouTube, on Twitter. How do I not mention AMD? Okay, so AMD was strong yesterday. Hopefully you made some money there. What's AMD doing right now? AMD is up 36 cents. Okay, there you go. So in a sea of red, AMD is up 38 cents. So it's still acting pretty well. There you go. If you're in it. So at least it's not, pain in the butt. Thank you. Yes. Thanks for the condolences. Good morning, Oil and Dash. Lots of things stay active. Yeah, nat gas is climbing. I went over some nat gas stocks yesterday that are different from my usual. Dash was pretty good yesterday. We'll see if, Dash hangs in there for today. Again, the SPYs are down $4 now. Kind of, that's not fun, especially if you have some positions on. Here's Dash. Dash, got above 220. Hit, 223.25. We'll see if it goes red to green today. If anything can go red to green. Dash has been good. 223.25 right there. IBIT. Let's see what's Bitcoin doing this morning. Down $1.65. That means Bitcoin's lower. I actually am a little bit flat Bitcoin, so maybe for me it'll be an opportunity to buy some. Let's look at Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin is down almost 1%. Bitcoin is wedging right here. Some guys like, well, what do I think actively? Well, actively, it's getting tight. It held the 50-day twice. It held it here. It held it there. It's getting tight. Maybe I'll put a little bit on. I still think that this 112K is not going to be the high of 2025. So the longer it stays up here, the higher the probability you get a nice move. How do we sign up for Power Plays? How do you sign up for Power? Go to t3live.com. There's got to be something on there for Power Plays. Power Plays have been really good. People are making some really good money there. HIMS. It's building pretty nicely. Look at that, So HIMS is looking pretty good. Let's see what's it doing this morning. Down 44 cents. Can't be upset about that. TEM, has this big channel, new issue, newer name, kind of building, going sideways. Both of those look pretty good. I don't trade either one as much, and when there's volatility right now, I got to kind of, figure out where I want to live. but this looks pretty good. NBIS looks good. Somebody said, what about that? Yeah, NBIS looks good. Let it build above here. Let it create another bull flag. Once it gets above 55, maybe it can continue in a better market. Right now, we still need a better market. Right now, this market is still, trying to figure out what's next. ONDS, yeah, that just had a big move from $1 to $1.90. Get it done says power plays have been great. That's cool. It's good to hear. You know what was pretty good yesterday? Coin. First time in a while. I haven't really been playing this. Mister was out of play, but Coin looks like it's clearing this downtrend. Nice 2 days. So if today's like an inside day, maybe at some point it takes out this 275. I haven't looked at this in a while because it's lagged, but maybe I'll put this on the list. Nice gap up, never filled it. So if you're playing versus pro gap, going sideways, Coin looks good. I'm gonna definitely put that on the radar. And we'll see. Hopefully today's just not a blanket sell, and we get a little bit of give. Hopefully some things could make a low in the first 30 minutes and could try and go green. You could add to it, use your tier system, and we'll see how it goes. For those of you who, the Maccabi games were canceled. Unfortunately, my son was supposed to go to Israel to compete in the Maccabi Games Nationals. He made it, Chase U18, so that just got canceled. It's been a tough month. A lot of bad news, a lot of bad news. But, that's why you have your routine in your process. I work out every day, get my mind right so I can control what I can control, and that's what you do. Someone said BBAI. The little guys stay in play. This is, a very spec type name. It did have a green day yesterday. Maybe it goes green today. CRCL kind of missed it, I think. Had a big move. A lot of guys made money on Friday because look at that strength on Friday while the market was down, and then you had a big gap up. So hopefully you made money there. CRWV has been really good. Okay, so I would start doing some work on a lot of these newer issues. These newer issues that have been coming public, they've been giving you some good trades. And this one I had listed as a buy at 47 and at 64, and now it looks like, it's building another upper flag above the 8-day to maybe take out 166. So I would put that on the schedule. WRD, I got stopped out of that one. I got stopped out at 898. Didn't work. Looked good. It looked like maybe it was in the game. I started playing it here, and then stops happen. SMCI, I'm long a little bit with Nvidia. To me, this looks pretty tight. Nice, gap up here, held it. It's going sideways. Looking, maybe today go out and buy some like $47 calls for next week. That's what I might do, because it does look like at some point it takes this out. It's come from a lot higher. Remember when everybody was talking about it, and now, you could say it's got a really nice inside range, and in a better market, especially if Nvidia gets going, I would think that that SMCI could do better. So yeah, I'm in a little bit, and we'll see. As far as some of the quantum names, real quickly, QUBT was the best one yesterday. Look at that move. Took out its inside range, just like that. So in a sea of red, maybe you could buy that back. I bought a little IONQ. We had a little bit of like a red dog reverse on the bottom end of the range. I did trim into some strength, so maybe this can go red to green. Palantir has been great. That too, but again, it's like a little extended right here. Hit a high of what, 144.86? 144. But yeah, what's Palantir doing this morning? PLTR. It's up 30 cents. So if you're in the right names, you're not underwater too much. So, it definitely could have ways to trade around stuff. Oscar, everyone keeps saying OSCR. What's that doing? Let's see. It's always good to have a little back scratcher. OSCR. Oscar Health. OSCR. Up $1.20. Gave you a little reason to be in it. So if you were in that, congratulations. This VERV is up a bunch. Nice little bull flag. Look at that one. So you're getting some one-off plays. Up 78%. It's the beauty about being a trader. Sometimes you could be in the right trade in the right time and get paid handsomely. If you were in this one, definitely gave you a reason to be. I don't know. If you play these names, it's nice move. Upper flag showed some green. It was green yesterday. So if you were in it, not even knowing, boom, look at that. So congratulations. ASTS has been awesome. I finally got flat. Guys were yelling at me for a while when it was in this range. I'm like, hey guys, you had a big move from here to 39. Sometimes it takes a long time to consolidate a move like that. And he had a few false moves, and then finally, what a move. I told you guys you could add a 29. I told you 31. It took out 35. Went as high as 42.93. A lot of money to be made there. Hopefully you made some. I did decent. I could have done better. Feels like you'd always do better. So you're always better off learning. Where's ASTS this morning? Let's see, ASTS down $1. I'd say maybe it sees 39ish. You could be a buyer on a dip there. For it to rebuild. All right, guys. We'll figure out what goes on. You still have a lot of macro geopolitical type of headlines. So the computers are going to be programmed both ways. You still have FOMC tomorrow. If yesterday gave you a little bit of a false sense of security and you're a little too long, know what you can handle today. Maybe there are some things that'll go from red to green. Maybe some things you could use your tier system. So if you sold some strength, you could buy some back and stay with some trades. But just remember, if the trade changes, you got to stop yourself out and revisit. You don't want to hope, pray in trading. There's no hoping and praying in trading and closing your eyes and having the market bail you out. That's not what you do. You take accountability. You control the trade. If the trade changes, you could always revisit. All right, guys. Good luck today.